All right, 12:15. Well, nice to see so many here. I hope you all are very interested in space and jobs in space. What do you think when I say space job? I bet many of you think, wow, astronaut. Well, yeah, that is a space job. It's even a job in space. But although there are a few who will get that job, and there will be more in the future because there's so much happening, including new developments for human spaceflight, and there will be many more jobs in space, which not all are like professional astronauts in space agencies. But space jobs in general, they are of course here on Earth. And they are booming. The space industry is booming. Just to give a few numbers, 2 years ago, the Citibank had a report, and they predicted that the space economy, the global, would grow from some $400 billion per year to around $1 trillion 10 to the 12, per year in 2040. But this month, McKinsey came with a report, and they estimate that the space economy will grow from some $600+ billion today to $1.8 trillion already in 2035. They predict that the space economy will grow about twice as fast as the general GDP. And they say then that there are kind of two kinds of space-related economy. Those are really more building satellites, launching satellites, very directly connected to what's done in space. And another part, which is that you use the data, the services from space to create better, more efficient business on Earth. And one example I mentioned was Uber, who is very depending on satellite data connected to cell phones to kind of do their business. So this is one of the reasons we are arranging this job fair, because we want to show, in particular students here, that there are so many possibilities to job in space. And you don't have to have a kind of study the space track or something like that. No, the space jobs are for everybody. And we want to show the space companies which are here that there's so many students here which have so many various education who can fit in their companies. So what can you do? Well, the most obvious thing that people are thinking about is, yeah, you build satellites which are in space, of course, and there is actually two different aspects there. We typically talk about the bus of the satellite. That is the kind of the thing which has the computer and the radio and navigation system, which is kind of orbiting there around Earth. But of course, this satellite just should do something also. And it's a radio or a camera or some other interesting thing, and that we call the payload. And often these are two different companies maybe building those various things. Just to give an example, which I've been involved in myself, that we launched a satellite recently called Ymir. You can see it there at the OAS Clyde Space booth. But the payload was built by Saab, and the bus was built by OAS Clyde Space. Then, of course, you have to launch the thing to space. You need a rocket. And this is also a very big business. And here is where we really are getting breakthroughs, and where we are opening the possibilities to space enormously, because the cost, which has been the bottleneck to utilize space. The cost to send something in space is falling dramatically, mainly thanks to SpaceX, Elon Musk's company, who with his reusability of first stage rockets has cut down the cost by now almost a factor of 10 compared to what it used to be. But he's not happy with that. He wants to have a much more cheap rocket, and he's building it. Probably many of you, maybe most of you know about this Starship, this super big rocket, which will be able to start with 100 tons to space. Now they even talk about the second version later with 200 tons to space. And when that gets going, the cost to send something to space will drop another factor of 10, maybe even a factor of 100. So that means that maybe 10 years from now, the cost to send something to space would be 1,000 times less than it was 10 years ago. And it's obvious then what many opportunities there opens. And we are increasing the number of satellites in space. They are now doubling each year. I have a colleague, Ed Lou. He just wrote a little article where he pointed out a new Moore's law. You know, the Moore's law about how computer chips doubles every 2 years. Well, he pointed out that since 8 years or something like that, we have the same thing with satellites. Number of satellites doubles every 2 years. And of course, it gets cheaper and cheaper, gets even more and more possibilities to send up. In addition to that, miniaturization has led to that you can get more capacity on a small satellite compared to before. So a small rocket, satellite can do so much more. So that's the future. Now, I talked about you build satellites, you build the launchers, but there are other business jobs related to space also. Well, you have to control the satellites up there. And you do that via radio links with big antenna stations and stuff like that. That is also a big business, and actually that is the biggest business part of the Swedish Space Corporation, probably the biggest space company in Sweden. They are out there. Then the low-hanging fruit, I would say, to earn money, make business out of space, that is to use all the data which these satellites are gathering. You get them there, you just need a good idea, and you kind of produce something which is a product someone wants. It's a bit similar to be smart and make an app for a smartphone. And it's the limit here are really the fantasy. What's also happening is that the one bottleneck has been to transmit all the data from satellites to ground. But here we are now, you will see a development of putting AI and machine learning on the satellites. So the satellites themselves kind of select the interesting events, the interesting data, and only transmit that. And it will go faster. I bet that it will be just a couple of years until we talk to each other with these directly via satellites. The research for this is ongoing. Another business for related to space is actually to keep track of all the satellites and everything up there. It becomes more and more a traffic problem, and we double the number of satellites every 2 years. And this is a growing concern that they can crash into each other, create more space debris. So there are even already today private companies have built tracking station, radar station to keep an eye on everything which is up there. And they sell that data to companies who owns the satellites, who want to make sure that, okay, I don't want to get too close to another satellite, move around. So another importance where space is growing very quickly, That is actually in defense. Every country now understands that if you want to have a good defense for your country, you need to utilize the space domain as well. So also Sweden now is kind of building a space capacity where we will probably have our own satellites. We certainly want the Swedish defense needs to understand how to work with the space domain and integrate it with other defense domains. We also use the data from space in many crucial things for our civil society down here. For example, do you even know how to use a map and a compass today? I mean, you know, I'm going somewhere, you just type in here and then, aha, you go somewhere. Well, it's due thanks to satellites. Everyone knows GPS, but that's the American system for what we call global navigation satellite systems, which sends extremely high precise time signals. And if you have several of them, you can kind of make a kind of triangulation and figure out where you are, or the software in your smartphone can do it for you. We also have now a European system called Galileo, and they are very important for us today in civil society. The problem is that they're very easy to kind of disturb, and probably many of you have heard about that even in southern Baltics lately. There's been a lot of disturbance, probably coming from some nasty nation. And we need to kind of make this more sturdy. We need to find ways to work in other to solve some of these problems in backup ways. So our society getting more and more also vulnerable to all the data from satellites, and this we need to understand and find countermeasures or ways to at least be more resilient on these things. That is a very important thing you need to take care of. So also, I went to a conference in the US 2 weeks ago, and there was actually mentioned that in the US, but I think it might be the same here, at least in the employment in the space sector, they had grown by 30% during the last 5 years, compared to less than 10% for the general working market. This is also an indication of the importance and the growth of the space sector. $4 billion had been invested in venture capital during 2023. It's not only, you know, actually, from the very beginning, yeah, it was basically only government money going into space. The government money is not getting less. Actually, that's also getting more. But the percentage of the space economy which comes from government money is getting smaller. It's maybe around 25% now. It's more and more private and commercial activities. And this even goes into the human space flight. So the International Space Station, which is completely governmental run entity, mainly from NASA, but also from ESA, from the Russian Space Agency, will continue for another, well, until 2030. But after that, it will probably be a couple of commercial space stations. They're already today, they're building the hardware, the modules for future space stations, which are done on commercial basis with private money. Not only, they do get support from NASA also, but NASA is not taking the lead or something like that. They're helping them to do this. So there will be several commercial space stations up there. They will need people to work up there. And they will need vehicles to fly up there. And there are commercial companies doing that. SpaceX is well known with the Crew Dragon, but also now Boeing is debuting probably in a month's time, or only a couple of weeks' time, actually, the first time the Starliner will fly. And there will be more. Going to the moon, which is led by NASA right now. Well, Chinese also has a project going there. But yeah, that is NASA-led, but there's more and more commercial companies also being involved in the moon and see opportunities there. There are several companies who are launching and landing, having landers on the moon because they see future business here. There's an interest to go to the moon. There will be a business possibilities there. Although, to be honest with you, there's still a strong reason why China and USA and why we should be interested also going to the moon with humans is actually geopolitical. It is also an important factor one should not forget. So, see on my notes if there's something important I forgot. So, in short, I'm absolutely convinced that the future for space is really bright. There's so many opportunities. There's space jobs from if you want to build something going to the moon to support taking care of the data from space and the service of space and make your business smarter here. And those who do not see these possibilities, they will miss out opportunities, and those are the companies and businesses who will be the losers. So I'm 1 minute over time, still low. If there's 1 or 2 questions, I can take that before we move further, if someone has a question. No? All right then. Yeah, there is 1 question. All right, if I'll repeat the question and see if I could. That I talk about military money, government money, and industry money, and when will we see private individuals more or less going into space and everything? Well, we already see it. I'm going to give you an example which I'm actually involved in. It's a small company called Python Space. It was founded by a Swedish American exploration couple that gone to Mount Everest and skied single-handed without any help, well, dual-handed I guess then, or to the South Pole and then immediately to the North Pole. During this, they invented a lot of technology they needed. They started a lot of business, and then sometime maybe 10 years ago, they started to seriously thinking, oh, hey, let's go to Mars. That's the next one. So they started to think of and develop a rocket, which is the first thing you need to have. And they are now well on the way to actually build a small rocket, which they will make money of. We hope that that will actually be one of the first rockets which we can use at the S-range, which, by the way, is something which also is a great asset for us in Sweden when it comes to space. We have everything here in Sweden, and launch sites are very unusual. So we have that up in S-range. It's ready to launch satellites to space when you have a rocket. That's the bottom. But this company, Python Space, actually, I mean, I think they are a great example of what you was asking for. All right, now I'm too much over time. The moderator here, Sion Arshed, tells me now I have to stop so we can move into the companies. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for coming here.
Thank you, Christer. So now we're moving on to some company presentations, and you're well welcome to stay, those who can. And we'll start with AAC Clyde Space. Welcome up. Give an applause.
Hello everyone. I've never used one of these, so please bear with me, and if it's too loud or too quiet, then just wave or let me know. This is better? Okay. Yeah, so I'm very glad that Christer Fuglesang talked about commercial companies because I'm representing my company today and we are a purely commercial space company. So we're called AAC Clyde Space. And as you can see on the slide, we are spread out across, well, both Europe and we also have a site in the US. We have a new site in South Africa, so that's also very exciting. But we started as a company, so I'm from the site that we have in Uppsala, that's in Sweden. And we are really the headquarters of the group, but these companies have all, we've acquired them and they have their own history and heritage with different space products. So we develop products for satellites, which makes it also logical for us to build our own CubeSats. So that's also something we do. We have 3 business segments. And the third one is then, okay, after you build your satellite, you send it up to space, you own it and you operate it, you also want to sell the data. So that's our third business segment. And yeah, we also talked about lunar landers. So the first commercial lunar lander actually had our product that we developed in Sweden. So it's obviously something we're super proud of. Now, I think this image should be a bit twisted, maybe, because as you might know, the lunar lander sort of, it didn't land on its feet, you could say. But still, everything went pretty well, and it was a successful mission. So the product that we provided is the power system, and it distributes power from solar arrays and the battery to the rest of the satellite. So it's really sort of the core of the satellite. And now I only have 5 minutes, so I think I should maybe wrap up a little bit. But we're very happy to talk about all our sites and the different products that we develop. So yeah, feel free to come by us. The first 10 people who come by, they can grab a t-shirt. So yeah, that's the motivation for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And now we have FOE. Welcome up stage.
Okay, so my name is Eric. My name is Eric, and I represent FOE together with 3 of my colleagues here today. FOE is a Swedish Defence Research Agency where we do research for other Swedish agencies, mainly the Swedish Armed Forces, but also civilian like MSB or the police. We have location in 4 different towns in Sweden, where Umeå do mainly research in defense against nuclear, biology and chemical warfare. We have Linköping, they do sensors like radar and LiDAR, but also cybersecurity. In Grimsjön, they are doing research on weapons, so they're blowing things up mainly. And in Kista work we do analysis mainly and some computer programming. And we also look into airplanes and submarines. I work in the space group, and we started in 2010 with space situational awareness. We were looking at other satellites and space debris. And we also, as you can see, we started in 2003, sorry, with space domain analysis. But we are, as you see, we are growing, and our latest now is that we're looking at Earth observation. The whole FOE is recruiting, and we're recruiting engineers, physicists, researchers, analysts. And when I started 1 year ago, we were 1,200, we are now 1,300, and we are still recruiting. So we have master thesis, and there is also a job on the homepage. So please come and talk to us if you are interested in this area. Unfortunately, we have to be Swedish citizens to work at us, but except for that, we are hiring most competence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have to invite Forsway. Welcome on stage. An applause.
All right. All right, thank you everyone for being here. I'm Tobias Forsell, running this company Forsway. We are a fairly small private company from, well, basically we are from Skövde, but we have an office here in Stockholm and in Linköping, where we basically have development resources there. We build connectivity solution using satellites. Basically, we are using a number of different types of satellites and combining technologies there. So basically, we're combining satellites that exist and satellites that are used for airplanes and so on there, and to create connectivity. We also have a package that combine satellite and ground infrastructure for the poor people around the world that don't really have connectivity. There 1/3 of world's population don't have connectivity at all, and that is something that we have developed a solution for. By using existing technologies, TV dishes or poor mobile telephony systems there. And we combine them and then create a connection point. We have done that over a number of years, and that has led us to a good project that we're awarded from European Space Agency. So we are going to develop next generation of SATCOM system, where we are going to have 5G networks connecting to the satellites. And basically we think that we are going to make let's say sort of a Swedish Starlink system. We are not going to have the satellites ourselves, but we're going to use all different types of satellites that exist there. And yeah, we are over here and we can talk a little bit more about the technology and also what we are going to do in the future there, because we need people that actually can join us and help to grow this company there and have something very exciting here in Sweden as well there on the ground system.
Thank you very much. And the next speaker will be Frontgrade Geisler. Welcome up. An applause.
Hi, so I'm Julius, and I represent Frontgrade Geisler. And we are a small company based in Gothenburg. We're 60 people, but we're market leaders in what we do. And what we do is microprocessors for space applications. So basically anything that flies in space, if it's a satellite, a moon lander, or a Mars rover, it needs a computer, and the computer needs a CPU, and we are the guys making that CPU in most cases. And as we designed the processor in-house, and we also do software for it. So we're searching for software engineers and electrical engineers. So we do operating systems and device drivers as the software part, and we do VHDL design as a hardware part. And if you come by our booth, we will offer you master thesis and bachelor thesis, and I hope to see you there, because as the good slide shows you, we are on a mission to conquer the universe, and we need help to doing that. And yeah.
Thank you very much. And now we have a visit from Pandion AI. If they're here? No? Yes. Nice, come on up. Or AI, I should say, not AI.
Seems to be a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of companies on F and then just skipping to P. Yeah, okay. So I'm Marcus and I represent Pandion AI. So we're I hear a small company, but we're really a small company. Half of the operational staff is here today, so it's me and my colleague Christer in the back. So we're a startup. Started in Uppsala in 2019, and then now today we're in Kista. We're also a little bit located here at Östermalm. So at Pandion we see that there's a lot of historical satellite data that exists, and therefore we want to launch a satellite constellation to be able to support real-time information. So information that truly can be acted upon. And that's where we see a lot of value. So we see a lot of enabling technology here today. I mean, we got, as we heard just now, with the compute technology to be running a lot of computation in orbit, as well as, I mean, there's Unibop, and we got a lot of interest when it comes to being able to generate information in space. So we want to be using this, putting this together, and really deliver our services to governmental organizations and companies that can seek value and when it comes to this information. So right now we have a European Space Agency funded project, which is for us to be able to really reach out with our services to our end users. So it's the smallest bit of information that we want to be able to provide. So we don't want to provide all this data, but we want to be able to provide the small amount of information, the smallest amount of information that really brings the value. So our customers can make informed choices and really be able to reach where and when this is needed. So it's a bold mission to put all this together, so we really need your help, help from actors in here. And I mean, we're always open for thesis students, so we have a very good track record. I mean, given that we're a small company, past year we've had, I think maybe 9 students that have been working with us over time. We're always keen to, for you to contact us and say, okay, we want to do this, we like your mission. So you can either contact us on the info mail or career@pandionai.com. In the coming season, I guess, well, semester, we're looking for, when it comes to optimizing the use of a satellite constellation. So this goes from, I mean, constellation design to prioritizing different customer tasks, possibly based on greedy algorithms or AI algorithms. The biggest input to our system would be optical satellite imagery. So this goes into the field of computer vision. So if you think that you can contribute, just shoot us a mail with maybe your CV, but I mean, maybe your interest in what you want to do for your thesis. And also in the future, I mean, when you come from these actors and you feel like you want to contribute to securing timely information, then shoot us another email and we'll look into hiring you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our last company will be Ovzon. Welcome up. An applause, please.
Thank you. So my name is Per Wahlberg. I'm from Ovzon, and we have developed a unique SATCOM capability that combines the highest degree of mobility, meaning small terminals on the ground, high throughput. So if you have these small terminals that I brought with me, you can also transmit a lot of data, and also resiliency. So it works, it should work in, bad weather as well. If you are in regions where you have a, hostile actor that is trying to find you, and this interfere and so on. So it's the company is Swedish, Swedish technology. So the development and research are done here in Sweden, in Solna, in Stockholm. And then we have also offices in US. So here what you see behind me, so this was a satellite we launched 3rd of January this year from Florida with the Falcon 9. So it's 6 meters high. It has electrical propulsion. So it's now moving as we speak to its kind of designated parking lot at over the Horn of Africa, so 59.7 degrees east. So it can see whole of Africa once it's there. It see, up in Europe, all the way to Svalbard, and all the way to Japan. So if you're standing in South Korea, for example, and have this super small, this is what we call the Ovzon T7, you can communicate directly to Sweden in a single hop with another equally small. You don't need to go to a large gateway or something like that. So it's truly unique. And I would say most customer segments have a need for this. There is no customer that says, yes, we want larger terminal, lower throughput to a higher cost. But we do sell a lot to government and defense. This is also interesting regarding the satellites. So you see these rolls, that they are the solar panels. Typically before it was hinges that once you came out from the nose cone of the rocket, you folded it out. But here is it's rolling out. So it's the first commercial satellite that had that. Anyhow, so it's super powerful. We developed also an onboard processor, a new one, really disruptive, that enables them to this single hop that I talked about with small terminals. But it also, it hides traffic pattern. You can communicate in the noise floor, which is good for certain defense applications. So this is what we do. We are a small company, so we develop the satellite, we develop the onboard processor in the satellite, we develop terminals, we develop modem in the terminals. We do quite a lot, and we need to sell as well. But we are very proud and happy that this satellite, I mean, this is the first private financed geostationary satellite. It's a huge undertaking, really. And so it will be in its position June this year. So it's almost there. And if you have more questions, we are standing there. I mean, the setup of the company, for you, it's a lot of theoretical physicists complementing the rest of us, the brains. But we do have a lot of, mechanists, electronic engineers, and we're always interested to find new talents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now talk a little bit about the KTH Space Center. My name is Siona Lindstein, and I work there a bit extra. And we can start with that. Our journey started about 10 years ago, with the purpose to establish KTH as a hub for space research and activity in Sweden. And what we do is that we have monthly seminars from current space-related topics, from professors and doctoral students, which is open for everyone to attend. We also have something called Space Rendezvous, which is a half-day event, which we have 2 times per year. And that's also with seminars and a bit exhibitions, and always end up with a pub where you can mingle with the companies or the speakers. And as a space center at KTH, we also have some kind of funding and support for space projects, which you can apply for. And with this kind of support, we also have a space technology lab, which facilitates such a vacuum chamber, which you can hire. We also have this thing called thesis competition every year. And this is for students which are doing some kind of space-related thesis, both in basic level and advanced level. And you can win money in this competition. So this is for every year. And please follow our webpage. We have all different social channels with Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. So we post these different seminars and events that we have, or some kind of space-related positions that are currently active. I will also mention that we have this competition today at this this fair, and it's sponsored by Maxar. So please go to our booth and try to win these awesome prizes with Body Flight, which you can see here is the first prize, and then you can also have a space pen as a prize. So please come to us and talk with KTH Space Center, read more about Maxar, and of course win some nice prizes. And I will also say that don't miss the panel discussion at 14. It will be in Swedish, however, so be aware of that. So thank you very much for listening to Christer and the company presentations. Thank you.